Okay, I thought I'd show you some of the progress that I made on the Wizard walking staff that I'm working on, and some of the tools that I've used along the way. So you can see I've started the scroll part at the top. I got a pretty good start on the face. The eyes, I still want to do some work around the cheeks and a little detail around the eyes and the nose too. Roughed out the mustache. Got a little curve, but it needs to be worked on. I'm working with some like a texture here in this negative area. I don't know if I'm going to keep that yet, and I don't know if I'm going to keep the hair. It wasn't in the original design of the carving. I thought I wanted something back there. I don't know yet. And this is my variation on what was in the original drawing for the beard kind of winding around. Here's the handle. And this piece is going to probably be the only part that I sand smooth, because I found that even the slightest little facets from the carving tool, even though it's smooth, tends to give you a hot spot and eventually a blister on your hand. So this from about here to here will be sanded smooth when I finish it. The rest of it I want it all to come off the tool and have a nice finish from a sharp tool, no sanding. In this section here in the middle, I have a couple things going. Here's just where an owl is going to be. It's not really even close yet. I'm going to round it. It's going to be low relief, and then I'll do that. And then on the back, same thing with the beaver. On the sides, I'm taking this part and just doing a little spiral, which is consistent with what's happening up here. And that'll be kind of rounded like a snake or a vine. And then this section with the spiraling is actually taking quite a bit of time. It's very time consuming because you keep finding another part that doesn't match what you did before, so you have to keep working on it. And then when that comes to an end down at the bottom, I'm going to continue on and do the little snake spiraling at the bottom. You see I did a little bit of walking with it already, so I kind of got it dirty, but I left this large from what it's going to be. And I think what I'm going to do is add something on the bottom. I'll probably cut the round as a tenon and put a piece of copper pipe or something on the end of it to protect it from splitting. So now as far as tools, the old Stanley 191, and I'm using that quite a bit. I'm using that in this area with the spirals. Okay, so cutting down, straight down, and then chipping it out. And also, I'm using the technique of going down a longer section, slicing into it, and then coming back with this 3/4 inch number 3 little stubby tool, which I like a lot. So I can just cut into it like this. Okay, so it's very time consuming, as I said, because you have constantly fighting with the grain. So the grain is going this way. Okay, so that means on the top side you have to cut this way, and this side you have to cut this way. Okay, and on this part, on one side you want to go up, and then when you flip it over you want to go down. So you're constantly, I'm constantly adjusting for the cut on this spiral thing, so it's very time consuming. And the other part that's kind of tricky is where you have these hills and valleys. Okay, so you can only cut about this far, okay, into it going this direction, and then you have to come back here, and then where you meet, it's always a problem cleaning that out. So I'm also using where I can, I use this sweep, but I also use a deeper sweep. I think this is maybe a 7 or a 9, 7/16, and I'm using that kind of skew cutting sideways across there to clean out that section. So in this one I would make little chips going across the grain to try to clean it out. So you're constantly changing and moving, and so it's a good project from that standpoint. For this lowered section here with a texture in it, what I've done was I'm using the Stanley knife to cut straight down a slight angle a slight angle this way. If you go straight down or in this way, it'll tend to split out. So I do a slight angle, and then even afterwards I'll sometimes clean it up and just take that edge off. But then I'm using a little dockyard tool here. I think that's a 5mm U tool or U gouge or veiner, and then what I'm doing is kind of cutting across the grain into my stopping point here and getting a nice little texture there. Okay, the design showed from the squint marks here, kind of extended down. So I was continuing that kind of curly Q idea and cutting a deep V in there. So I want to make sure I have enough contrast in this area. So if I leave it smooth, obviously you'll see it. If I put these little grooves in it, then you might not see it. So I don't know if I'm going to leave those or not. And then I may go back to keeping this area here smooth, and then the kind of hair, what I'll do is texture that with something, possibly this Denny, my V tool that I like, with the rounded bottom. 3 different tools. These 3 tools alternately for this spiral area, and I'm trying to decide if I want to keep it kind of a ribbon, which would be sort of flattish, or whether I want to round it a little, or whether I want to really round it and kind of even undercut it a little bit so it really does look like, you know, a snake or a vine. So that would be, you know, a lot more work. So I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I know since I've started videos on this, I kind of feel obliged to carry on and finish it, although my my first thought is to, you know, just take it with me on every camp out, and by the end of the year it'll be finished. But I'm committed to finishing it now in the video, so I guess I'll have to do that.